You know, guys, one of my favorite hobbies of all time, aside from YouTube, aside from gaming, you guys know that I can go from Scatmaster to Chef Master Fooly. Aside from those, one of my favorite hobbies of all time is making a statement that I know is going to get a lot of people salty in the comments, and then lo and behold, months later, my claims seem to be true, backed up with evidence and data. That is right, guys. The Scatmaster called this before, along with like everybody else, by the way, not just myself. But you know how gooch lickers get down for Call of Duty? You know they do anything for Bobby Cosby's crusty asshole. You know, if you say Call of Duty's dying or it's on the downhill trend, these gooch lickers will give up an arm and an eye to defend Bobby Cosby, Activision, Infinity Ward, and Call of Duty. But unfortunately for them, we can use the numbers against them the way they do to us. They want to say there's no way MW 2019 Part 2 sucks. It generated over $1 billion in its first week. There's no way it could suck. Well, it's time to slap the truth back at them with logic, with numbers, the way that they want to use it. Guys, Call of Duty is still dying. And I say still because it's been on the downhill trend for a very long time. Of course, MW 2019 rejuvenated the entire franchise according to a lot of people. In reality, that was due to Warzone, okay? MW 2019 was dog shit when it came to multiplayer, especially after Season 1. Even though I don't like Warzone, I'll be the one to say it, Warzone is the one that actually got the player base to explode the way it did. Where now, we have Modern Warfare 2019 Part 2 and Warzone 2, which are supposed to be, you know, part of this whole Call of Duty 2.0 thing. This is supposed to change everything. This is supposed to be one of the biggest spikes in gaming history, at least as far as they were hyping it up to be, but unfortunately, the numbers don't lie, okay? The numbers aren't looking so good for Call of Duty, and you can make the argument that, hey, you know what, 100 million is still not bad. Guys, if I were to lose 10 million of anything, I would be upset. Okay, I don't know how you guys operate, but if you were to lose 10 million brain cells, not that you have that many, then common sense should tell you there's something wrong, okay? There's something seriously wrong with that. Guys, a couple days ago, this comes out from Charlie Intel, Activision's monthly active player count decreased from 111 million during Q4 of 2022 to 98 million during Q1 of 2023. By the way, just in case you don't know, I'm pretty sure we're officially in Q2 of 2023, so Q1 is essentially the time between January and March and April, and you saw every single content creator out there talking about how, hey, around January, which was Season 1 Reloaded, before Season 2, and including all of Season 2, the game was on a downhill trend, okay? It wasn't looking too hot. We were saying Call of Duty is dying, and you know what? A lot of people gave us shit. A lot of gooch lickers were talking about, oh, you know what? The sales say otherwise. You know what? You're just hating for views. If you don't like it, don't play it. And that one specifically has grown to be one of my favorite statements of all time. If you don't like it, don't play it. Guys, the numbers show that a fuck ton of people stopped playing it, okay? They took your advice, and then Activision and Infinity Ward shit themselves. You know why? Because like we reported in the past, the player base for Call of Duty MW 2019 Part 2 decreased by like 60 to 70%. That is an absurd decrease, okay? That's an unnatural decline if this is supposed to be one of the greatest CODs of all time. If it's supposed to be Call of Duty 2.0, then this shit is not adding up. Oh, and before I forget to say this, yes, you guys are watching some MW2 gameplay in the background. This is as soon as Season 3 dropped. I think this is the second day of Season 3. You can tell because the ranks are still messed up on the scoreboard in ranked play. And before this, I hadn't played the game for like 3 weeks or some shit. And then after this, I went ahead and played X-Defiant for like 2 weeks straight. So no, you are not watching current gameplay of MW2. I'm sorry. The statement still stands. If you don't like it, don't play it. Guys, not many people are playing it, at least not during Q1 of this year. Which again, a lot of us were saying, hey, after Season 1 Reloaded, you know, it's not looking too hot for MW2. We got some pretty shitty content for Season 1, for Season 2 as well, and now in Season 3 we have yet to see what the numbers look like, but we know that ranked play and Ashika Island pretty much boosted the player count, at least significantly for a little bit of time. But guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers are dropping even lower than what they are right now for Q1 that you're seeing. Oh, and just to drive this point in a little bit further, because I know a lot of people want to make every single excuse they can possible to defend Call of Duty. Like I said, you know how the gooch lickers operate when it comes to Bobby Cosby's ass crack. They'll do anything for it. Guys, just to let you know, included in Activision's monthly active users, Of course, we're talking about other games like Overwatch, which actually I think that's part of Blizzard. The point is, it's not just Call of Duty, but when you're talking about Call of Duty, we're including MW 2019 Part 2, we're including Warzone 2, we're including DMZ, we're including raids and trials and whatever else in Spec Ops, we're including campaign, we're including all of it. That is across like 5 different massive modes. We're not just talking about multiplayer, we're talking about all of the above. That is a significant decrease. And if you understand how trends work, that means something is wrong, okay? If you need to take a stats class, go take a fucking stats class and understand what a trend means when something is decreasing or declining. I'm not here to be your teacher, I'm not here to be your father, although I tend to be a lot of gooch lickers' fathers because I deposit a child in their mother. And unfortunately, guys, it actually gets worse than this, okay? There is even more bad news when it comes to this right here. This also comes out from Charlie Intel, a fascinating thing in Activision's quarterly results. January 1st through March 31st of 2022 last year during Warzone Caldera and Vanguard seasons, Activision had 100 million monthly active users. With MW 2019 Part 2 and Warzone 2 within the same time frame this year, Activision had 98 million monthly active users. Now, if you look at it face value, Modern Warfare 2019 Part 2 and Warzone 2 are performing worse than Vanguard and Caldera last year. And as much as it's funny to say and to think about because everybody hates Vanguard and everybody overhyped MW2 except for the Scatmaster, let's not forget that, okay? Never wrong, just early. It is extremely funny to see that if we're talking numbers, Vanguard and Caldera were actually doing better than MW2 and Warzone 2, and that is just a fact. But there is a point that's been made, and I understand it completely, although it still doesn't change what the numbers mean and what the facts are. But Vanguard, yeah, it's shit, but when it comes to Caldera, it's still including content from MW 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard, because there's a lot of cross progression, so it's very inflated because there's so many different IPs that are working together, integrated in Caldera, and that's just a fact as well. But again, the numbers don't lie. That was performing better than what we have right now currently, and even though I've been able to justify what these numbers mean in actuality and why they are the way they are, you still need to understand that the reason for this is still Activision and Call of Duty and Infinity Ward's own fault. Every single bit of progression stopped at Caldera, and they stopped it so that you could restart in Warzone 2. And of course, Warzone 2 not performing well because it's a pile of shit also doesn't help, but the fact that they didn't allow it to progress into Warzone 2 just divided the player count immensely, because a lot of people still prefer the old Warzone as opposed to Warzone 2. Had Activision not been thinking about numbers and, hey, what is my revenue gonna look like if I make every single skin in Warzone 1 obsolete and make them buy the exact same shit at times in Warzone 2 and have them restart paying everything. Of course, maybe when it comes to money, maybe they made a little bit more from the boost of Warzone 2, but because they didn't allow that progression to flow into Warzone 2, because they were too busy thinking about the fucking money, as a result, the monthly active users dropped. And again, it's just a fact. Vanguard and Caldera performed better than MW2 and Warzone 2. Call of Duty is dying, okay? When you decrease by 10 million in anything, something's wrong. That does not indicate that it's healthy. Yeah, it's still standing, but I'll tell you one thing right now. If you chop off my foot right now, yeah, I can still stand, yeah, I can still maneuver, I can still operate, I'm still living and I'm still breathing, but holy fuck, you chopped off my foot, and you know what? That probably doesn't feel good at all. If I don't cover up that wound or get a prosthetic foot and I just leave it as an open wound bleeding, guess what? I'm gonna bleed out. And by definition, what does that mean? Med students, what does that mean? It means you're fucking dying. Call of Duty, if you don't patch up your shit, you're going to continue dying. And maybe with Season 3, you know, resurgence in Warzone and ranked play and multiplayer, maybe that was the patch they needed. But guess what? Over time, we still don't give a fuck about that stuff because it's just a gimmick. It'll patch things up temporarily, but because you keep on with this seasonal bullshit, after 2 weeks, your game's gonna keep dying and you're gonna keep getting into this exact same cycle that I've been talking about since since the launch of this goddamn game. And by definition, when you start out high and it decreases lower and lower and lower over time before the next boost where the exact same thing happens, that's called a decline. And guys, I realize I am leaving out one very, very important fact as well that came out with these results. I have yet to talk about the microtransactions and the revenue earned by Activision. I'm not gonna talk about it in this video, not because I want to spin this narrative of whatever, it's because that entire topic with the microtransactions deserves its own video, and it'll be my next video, okay? When it comes to the microtransactions earnings, I'll put it plain and simple very quickly. If you bought bundles, you're a fucking moron. You could be my grandmother, you could be Jesus Christ in the flesh. I would look this person in the eyes and say, you're a fucking moron. I know gooch lickers like talking about, oh, it's the highest sold Call of Duty of all time, the most amount of people played the beta. Call of Duty's not dead. I'm sorry, but we'll use the same logic back at you. Looking at the numbers provided by Activision, by the way, Call of Duty is still on the downhill spiral, and judging by the numbers, it is still dying. Bitch. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Are you surprised by any of these numbers? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with my newest videos, and yeah guys, it's been the boy Fooly. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out of here. Toodles. It's been a